Live from WTVO Rockford and your home team. Eyewitness News at 5 starts now.
Police make an arrest after a weekend shooting leaves 3 people dead. We have new details on what led to the bloodshed.
And find out the reason magic mushrooms were brought up in last Illinois Department of Health meeting.
Plus, the VA offers a way for military veterans to get help if they're in a suicidal crisis. Free treatments available at any healthcare facility starting today. Good evening, I'm Mimi Murphy.
And I'm Tom Lewis. Thank you so much for joining us.
A Rockford man is charged after a triple homicide in Rockford over the weekend.
Yeah, 19-year-old Jalen Jackson was booked into jail yesterday. A witness told police Jackson and one of the victims, 29-year-old Vashon Reeves, were fighting over a stolen gun on Saturday. That witness then said Jackson went on to point that gun, and that's when the shootings began. He saw Reeves at an apartment on 23rd Street, pulled out a gun, started shooting. According to the criminal complaint, others in the house then started shooting as well. Jackson was hit in the face. Another man shot in the leg. 2 others, 18-year-old Xavier Johnson and a 17-year-old, both died. That witness went on to tell police he drove off from that apartment complex with the 17-year-old. When he noticed the teen was bleeding, they stopped on Middlebury Avenue where an ambulance picked him up, took him to the hospital where he died.
That's right, and Police Chief Carla Redd, State's Attorney Jay Hanley, and Mayor Tom McNamara addressed the violence this afternoon. Our Jess Lipson is live at District 3 headquarters. Jess, police say this was not random, that the victims knew each other.
That's right, Mimi. They won't go as far to say that this was gang-related, but according to a criminal complaint, a witness says that the fight started between 2 gangs. This makes 4 people dead in the past week at the hands of gun violence. These are all separate incidences. The triple homicide was
your
between
mother. Think if it was
investigators say knew each other. The people involved, hurt or killed, ranged from ages 17 to 29. Jalen Jackson is charged with the murder in the case. He was also hurt a week ago. An armed robbery at Pinnan's Meat left Peggy Anderson dead. William Jones, the suspect, is still on the loose. While the 2 acts of violence are not connected, the police chief, state's attorney, and mayor all ask for help from the public to solve these crimes.
think if it was your brother, your cousin, your aunt, your father, your children. Wouldn't you want everyone to do every single thing that they could to help bring that person to justice? I know I sure as hell would.
Coming up tonight at 9 and 10, we'll hear from Chief Redd about families who may be involved with people who are involved and how they should be aware of possible retaliation. Live for your home team, I'm Jess Lipson. Back to you.
All right, thanks, Jess. Now, this weekend's triple shooting happened in the Rolling Green neighborhood. Alderwoman Karen Hoffman represents that area on City Council.
Our Nikel Delgado spoke with her today. Nikel, what did she have to say?
Mimi, Tom, Alderwoman Hoffman tells me it is sad to see that there is another shooting. She says these shootings like this were the driving force for her wanting to run for office.
And what is going on now is more targeted shooting. You know, they know where somebody lives and there's an issue and they decide to solve it with a gun, and then that person gets mad and it's the retaliation, you see. And so that's why you see maybe 2 shootings in a day.
Despite Sunday's shooting being targeted, Alderwoman Karen Hoffman says a family still lost a loved one.
Check their Ring doorbells and any other cameras they have, and let's get every bit of information we can to the police. And it is only through working together that we will achieve our goals.
She stressed the importance of the community coming together to work with the police. She says that's the only way to bring justice, along with addressing the root of the problem, and that starts with the youth.
We have to get to these kids before this becomes a part of their lives. And we have to get to their parents to let their parents know that they have alternatives. We have a lot of parents that don't have parenting skills, and we need to have programs that will get out there and teach those parents.
Alderwoman Hoffman says Rolling Green Association is starting back up the safety committee, and the city is working to provide more programs to show there is a better way to the youth and their families.
But until we get to our youth and give them opportunities, I think we're going to continue to have crime. We've got to give them value, starting at a very young age. We have to give them personally value, so they value themselves. Because I always feel in these shootings, they're not scared because they not only don't value that other person's life, but they don't value their own.
Alderwoman Hoffman tells me that the safety committee is in works, and if you are willing to go and be a part of it, you can find that out at mystateline.com. Mimi?
All right, thanks, Nicole. 2 people are dead after a crash in Boone County. Monday night, first responders were called to Russellville Road in Capron to reports of a single vehicle crash. Police say the car was headed northbound north of Edson Road when it left the roadway and hit a tree. The driver and a passenger were both pronounced dead at the scene. The cause of the crash is still under investigation.
Well, a warehouse goes up in flames in Chicago. Chicago Fire Department battled an extra alarm fire in a West Side warehouse this morning. More than 100 firefighters responded to that fire. Authorities say the building sustained significant damage, including the collapse of the roof. There are no reports of any injuries. Officials are investigating the cause of that fire. An Illinois lawmaker has introduced legislation to create a regulated psychedelic therapy program. The Cure Act would legalize psilocybin, sometimes called magic mushrooms, in licensed medical settings. If passed, the Illinois Department of Health would regulate and license the manufacture, delivery, sale, and administration of psilocybin. State Representative LaShawn Ford says many people have helped by psilocybin for whom nothing else has worked.
I've heard from veterans and people that suffer from anxiety and depression that actually have been able to receive therapy from psilocybin, and they have experienced life-changing therapy that the additional pharmaceutical drugs could not provide them.
He says all stakeholders, including medical professionals, state agencies, and universities, need to be at the table to properly implement that program. Well, the Department of Veteran Affairs now says that U.S. military veterans can get free emergency care if they're in a suicidal crisis. That treatment can be at any healthcare facility starting today. Veterans do not need to be enrolled in the Department of Veterans Affairs system to get the treatment. Vets can also dial 988, followed by pressing 1 to quickly connect to support at any time. The VA wants to reduce the national veteran suicide rate by 20% by the year 2025. In 2 days, the U.S. is expected to hit the debt ceiling. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen warned Congress on Friday that the Treasury Department would begin taking extraordinary measures in order to avoid default and allow Congress to pass a debt limit increase. But as Anna Warnicki reports, Republicans have said they won't vote to increase the debt limit unless their demands are met.
Who wants to put the nation in some type of threat at the last minute of debt ceiling? Nobody wants to do that.
Speaker of the House Kevin McCarthy says he's ready to sit down with President Biden and Democrats to save the U.S. from defaulting on its debt, something that could happen this summer if a deal isn't reached.
Why wouldn't we sit down now, set a budget, set a path to get us to a balanced budget, and let's start paying this debt off?
But McCarthy says any agreement to raise the debt limit must include a list of Republicans' demands, such as massive spending cuts on the federal budget and caps on future spending.
We have to make the tough choices on discretionary spending.
It is absolutely an outrage.
But Texas Democratic Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee worries that will mean cuts to critical programs,
which includes Homeland Security, the United States military, and the Federal Aviation Administration.
And the White House says President Biden isn't interested in negotiating.
This is not a plan. It is a recipe for economic catastrophe. As President Biden has made clear, Congress must deal with the debt limit and must do so without conditions.
Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen says unless Congress votes to increase the debt limit, the government will run out of money needed to pay for its obligations as early as June. In Washington, I'm Anna Warnicki.
Now, your first warned weather forecast from Chief Meteorologist Candace King.
Well, it has been a windy and cloudy Tuesday afternoon. We take a live look with our SkyTrack camera here this evening down in Rochelle. Those clouds going to stick around at least for the next couple of days. The good news, our wind speeds going to subside a little here as we go through this evening. We had some winds gusting in from the west, anywhere from 25 up to 30 miles per hour. Sustained winds for us here this evening, still from the west, 10 to 20. But again, those wind speeds will come down just a bit. That's really kind of put a chill in the air today. Even though our temperature is still above that average in the mid and upper 30s, it's felt a lot cooler. 38 our temperature in Rockford, 37 in Rochelle. Wind chill numbers are down in the 20s here this evening. Our weather watcher Mike in Forston checking in with 37. Has a decent breeze coming in and just a trace of precipitation here throughout the day. It's been damp and brisk out there for our weather watcher Sandy in northern DeKalb County and the Kirkland-Fairdale area. Also checking in with 37, and relative humidity here this evening sits at 87%. The cloud cover, the result of our next storm system, actually departing low pressure system from yesterday, and incoming low that'll move in this time tomorrow. May see a little clearing try to take place here this evening, but that'll fill back in with cloud cover as this low pressure system moving over the Four Corners region, that works closer to us. And while yes, there are going to be some areas that pick up on some snowfall, I think for us, at least the way it looks right now, we may see more kind of liquid precipitation rather than frozen, as that snowfall kind of expected to stay a little further up to the north. In fact, accumulating snowfall lining up from parts of Iowa right up through Minnesota, Wisconsin. We may have some slushy accumulations from Janesville, maybe up towards the Sherland, Harrison area, back through Freeport, down through Forston, and then maybe even out towards Mount Carroll there in Carroll County. So some slushy accumulations possible, while rain showers may occur just a little further to the south. Reason being, as that low pressure system works out of the plains, the southern plains there near the panhandle of Oklahoma and Texas, it is going to wrap in some warm air. This blue line you see here, that's our freezing line. That's that 32-degree line just a couple thousand feet above. That's really a key indicator of what type of precipitation we see. So as our temperatures kind of warm above that freezing mark, doesn't really give us much of an opportunity to get much wintry weather, at least snowfall. We will see that number drop a little, but not until that low passes once we get into Thursday. Winter storm watches, winter weather advisories, and winter storm warnings all in effect just to our north and then well out to the west where that accumulating snowfall is likely. Now, I will say if we see that low even track a little further to the south, could put more of that slushy accumulation for us into northern Illinois, but right now favors kind of right close to that Illinois-Wisconsin state line and then a little further up to the north. So let's put this all together with Futurecast. We are dry during the first half of the day tomorrow. Look what happens as we get closer towards that 4 or 5 o'clock hour. Here's where that freezing line sits. Notice you've got some snow up to the north and then some rain showers likely here as we look towards tomorrow evening. Actually drying out Thursday morning, could end up with more drizzle and then fog, and then kind of some light rain showers, some snow showers mixing in once we get into Thursday afternoon. Overall, any snow accumulations at this point looks to stay light. Temperatures, guys, will stay in the low 30s as we look through the end of the week.
Now sports with sports director Scott Lever.
This could go down as a historic day for the Chicago Bears franchise and Bears fans. The day when Kevin Warren began taking the reins of the franchise. Warren was introduced today at Hallis Hall by the Bears to a packed auditorium of reporters. He seems to be a perfect fit for the Bears with his well-rounded background that seems to touch all phases of sports. The Bears say they met with 20 candidates, but Warren was a no-brainer from the start.
Kevin's experience as a player agent, as a lawyer in private practice, as an executive with 3 NFL clubs, and as Big Ten commissioner has prepared him for this moment, and we have complete confidence in him to lead this franchise back to greatness.
Many people have asked me, why the Bears, why this time? It's because of the challenge, the opportunity. I trust Ryan, I trust Coach Matt, that we're going to do things the right way. We're not going to take shortcuts. We're going to build an incredible franchise. I came here to win championships.
Warren will not take over full duties with the Bears until April, when his commitment to the Big Ten is complete. Much more on this story at 6 o'clock. The Ice Hogs back home from their Colorado road trip, ready to play 3 straight home games this week, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday. The all-star trio of David Gus, Brett Seney, and Lucas Reichel are all together again now that Seney and Reichel are back from the Blackhawks. They have combined to produce 47 goals and 114 points for the Ice Hogs so far this season. It is the first HL All-Star selection for all 3 of them, and they say the honor is even sweeter since they're all going together.
Really good for Rockford, and Sini and Gusty, they earn it, and they helped our team so much this year, and that's why they're there, and it's going to be fun.
It doesn't matter what league you're in to be an all-star. It's a huge accomplishment. So, like you said, it's nice having a couple guys also going, and it's too bad that they kind of set it at 3. I think there could have been a couple more guys too. That
kind of shows our team and our depth that we have. Reichs and Scenes and me going to the All-Star game, so it'll be fun.
The HL All-Star event will be held the first weekend in February in Quebec. Goaltenders are on the move again for the Hogs. Jackson Stauber has been recalled to the Blackhawks again for the second time this month. He's needed by the Blackhawks because Alex Stalock is in concussion protocol. Meanwhile, Arvid Soderblom is getting close to returning from a groin injury, according to Ice Hogs head coach Anders Sorensen.
Our First Warn interactive radar stays quiet for us here tonight, but becomes a little more active with some rain and snow by this time tomorrow. That'll be moving in. Could cause some impacts for that Wednesday evening commute. That'll transition over to some drizzle and fog Thursday morning.
All right. Thanks, Candace.
Have a great night, everybody.